It's Monday night. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. It's time to start your week off right with week 2 of Masters of the Universe March Madness.
Woo-hoo.
Right here on Play for Keeps, the show on Nerd Initiative. Mickey,
Yes.
by the power of Eternia,
Wait,
make it
what?
happen.
Okay, sorry.
My name is Adam of Grayskull. When good is threatened by the power of Eternia, I
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I did say right, by the power of Eternia. See, I did my homework there.
Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Nerd Initiative. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative pop culture connoisseur. And with me, as always, he is the blade to my Skeletor. He's the cosmic key to my Gwildor. He is the voice of Nerd Initiative. The one and only Mickey CWK Smith. Mickey, how's it going? How's your week, man?
It's been pretty good. I've been waiting to talk about this. I got to watch Masters of the Universe, the movie, again.
I'm glad you did because I've been so busy.
Checked out the New Adventures of He-Man because I wasn't super familiar with that, and tried to brush up on my Snake Man history. Yeah,
it's a lot. we had a lot going on.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, what a week it has been. So far, or wait, did I get my weeks wrong? My dates are wrong. Are we on week 3 technically? No, we're on week 2.
We're on 2.
Sorry.
There was so much in week 1.
It's that 5-month week, yeah, and because we did that extra episode.
That's what it was
on Friday night.
That's right. Speaking of which.
That's right. Now, we don't have any toy news for us this week because we did have our fantastic special presentation last Friday. We want everybody to go and check that out. We had such a wonderful, fun time putting this together, talking about everything from Toy Fair. Definitely go check it out. Catch the replay. Leave your comments. We want to know what you think. We want to know what toys, collectibles you want to put on your shelves because, I mean, we have no toy news this week.
Yeah,
because we did it all last week,
and that's okay. It was a lot of fun though. Friday night, I had a blast and so many cool things, and my wallet's already hurting, and we're just in March.
It is. But yeah, so this week so when we were setting this whole month up, we realized that it was going to be so much to talk about from the original Masters of the Universe toy line. And like we skipped a whole wave because that'll be coming up later in She-Ra week.
That's
right.
True. Yeah.
And on top of it, there was the end waves of Masters of the Universe. So we decided to take the Snake Men and then the Powers of Grayskull. We threw them into here. We're going to touch about the movie. We're going to talk about the New Adventures cartoon, which I also found out something very interesting when I was doing my homework for this. Now, did you watch it on YouTube?
Yes, YouTube. Sorry. Yeah.
So apparently because of marketing and who owns licensing and rights and everything, there's only one streaming service that has it. And I'll tell you guys later about that. So you got to make sure you stick around for it.
For anyone just joining us or maybe not familiar with what we're doing, the month of March, we are doing Masters of the Universe March Madness. And we're just blazing through the history of MotU. We started last week with the original 1982 wave up to, I think we made it to wave 5, or at least most of it, before we had to cut out some things for later. But yeah, that's what we're doing right now. Also, just want to hype up one more thing. We are doing brackets because of this, right? We've already released He-Man and Skeletor, and this new one just released right now is Man-at-Arms. And this one will be posted on socials soon, probably tomorrow. So go vote in the comments. You can vote in these comments. You can vote wherever: Instagram, TikTok, X,
Twitter.
Facebook, all those places. Yeah. So
I'm old. It's still Twitter.
yeah. But eventually we'll all come down to mano a mano, or whatever it may be, for the title of Master of the Universe March Madness. So there you go.
So let's kick this off. Like I said, we are finishing up the original Master of the Universe line. And this is a great way to say it, the beginning of the end. Yeah, we are talking about the Snake Men. And interestingly enough, a lot of these figures, you know how you said how Wave 2 was so popular and a lot of people remember a lot of these figures. I don't know why the Snake Men, some of the Snake Men characters I remember more the heroes and the villains. And especially when we started getting those new lines in 2020, 21, 22, they were remaking those before anything else.
Right. And yeah, same though. But I think that's because of the age, because this would have been probably when I was actually really getting into it. And that's what kind of was coming out. And I was getting, trying to get older stuff too, and kind of catching up watching reruns. But really, there's a few Snake Men figures, and we'll talk about it when we get to them, that were some of my favorite Masters of the Universe toys that I had. So it's kind of interesting that they were kind of the end of the journey, really. But yeah, I believe this was 1986. I don't have it on my slide yet. But anyway, we started getting into Snake Man. Now, we had already had one. We retconned it. We went back. That was Cobra Khan. I think he was in Wave 2 or 3. May even been in 1. I don't remember. But he kind of got retconned when the Snake Man came along. They were like, "Oh yeah, he's one of them too." So he was kind of included in the whole thing. But yeah,
we just sprinkled that one in just for fun.
Yeah, exactly. What do you know about the Snake Men, Tom?
I know about the Snake Men more so from the 2002 series. How they were more of the ancient evil before, like we had Snake Mountain and everything, or actually, that's kind of how Snake Mountain came to be. That they were fighting King Randor, or even further back, Hero. That they were involved with previous incarnations of He-Man that laid dormant until they came back.
Yeah, I guess I don't know a lot about pre-Eternia, but that's kind of what they were attached to, from what I can tell. And again, we'll see it once we'll get into this wave. There's some really strange stuff started coming. They started throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks in Masters of the Universe. Let's see. So, but yeah, Snake Men come in. One of the first big ones here, 1986. King Hiss, the leader of the Snake Men, and this was a really interesting figure. I had this figure. You could take his arms off and his body, like what was like a shell, like a part, and it revealed this like nest or hive of snakes with a giant like hive leader that was King Hiss. And the toy, I don't think executed it as well, but the comics, man, it was a really, to me, it was a very cool design. He looked really interesting. But yeah, the toy just didn't quite capture. He looks kind of sad and not scary at all, with his little noodle snakes hanging down as his arms.
But yeah, like outside of a car lot going.
And I don't have it up here because it's kind of in the future, but I believe it was Super 7 kind of did like a Masters of the Universe Classics wave, and they nailed it. Because it was a detachable waist instead of something like this, where you could switch out the waist and it had like all the snakes like coming at you. It was really cool stuff. So, it's the 80s. They were working with what they had. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And they all still went to the same damn gym. How many times am I going to say that tonight?
Hey, man, it's cheaper to make the same mold. But also in that wave, we got Rattler and King Lasher. These are the ones that were some of my favorite toys. Tongue Lasher in particular, I think I wore. He's got a little wheel on his back that makes his tongue go out and come back in, and it was one of my favorite things to play with. It was, I guess it would have been my equivalent to a what do they call it? The spinning toys. I just lost it right before I was going to say it.
Wait, you had it?
No, I'm talking about what are those little fidget spinners? That kind of toy, right? That kind of thing that kind of keeps your mind. That was tongue lasher.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
just like tongue out, tongue in, tongue out, tongue in, just walking around, tongue out, tongue in. Not to mention, he had the coolest colors, and that bright green snake just stuck out so well on his chest. He just looked really. He was one of my favorite molds, one of my favorite sculpts of all Masters of the Universe. I think maybe
Now,
possibly.
just also to mention that Rattler and Tongue Lasher were, yes, Masters of the Universe Snake Men, but these guys were featured heavily in She-Ra as part of the Horde.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. You notice they were recycling a lot of toys of that time, trying to go back and forth. But yeah, definitely for sure. What's next here?
So we've got Wave 6. So we've got another Sorceress, Mosquitor, another Hordak, Clamp Champ,
Yep.
King Radnor. One of the best figures I think of all time, an iconic Scare Glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how well they've used him how many times over.
Right.
Is that Ninja? I don't
Ninjor.
think it's Ninjak. It
Ninjor.
is Ninjor? Okay, because
Yeah.
I always get him confused with Ninjak and Power Rangers Ninjor. And then who are the two top looking dudes?
So those are, let me pull them up right here. Okay, hold on a second. Those are Buzzsaw and is it Blast? No, Blast Attack is the guy in the middle with the red thing. He was
Right.
he was with the Snake Man technically. Like he was like a creation of King Hiss's. Yeah, Buzzsaw and what is that guy? The other guy's name? I can't remember. Maybe it's not Bliss. Maybe it is Buzzsaw.
Nope, that was Buzzsaw Hordak in there.
Yeah, okay.
In the middle.
Oh, is that who that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought that was Blast Attack.
And two guys that are remolds of each other. There you go.
There you go. For sure. Without a doubt. But yeah, this is the last wave. Minus a few things that we'll get into when we get to the movie. But I think that's the first and only Sorceress that they made was in this wave here. So
no.
they waited that long. I don't know why. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Mosquitor, probably the coolest MotU toy of all. That might be it's a fan favorite for sure because the blood would kind of like trickle down that little chest cavity. It was so cool. It was a really cool play feature. Clamp Champ was cool too. King Randor, I'm surprised it took this long to get him, and this is the first Scare Glow too, so it's kind of interesting. Ninjor, Blast Attack, or Buzzsaw, whatever his name is. This was the first time they were Snake Men. Technically, they weren't Snake Men, but they were part of that like tribe or whatever. They were henchmen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is really like the final wave. Not technically. We'll talk about Wave 7 because there's not really a lot to it, but yeah. I'm pretty sure that's the only Sorceress, though. You can look it up.
I'm working on it right now.
Enhance. But yeah, there were two other Snake Men in this wave. Snake Face and Squeeze, who had these long, stretchy arms, who reminded me more of a dinosaur than a snake, really. I mean,
son of a cringer, you're not kidding. They really waited to 1987 to make the Sorceress.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. They made Zor, the Falcon form, but not the actual figure of the character, the humanoid, whatever. So it's kind of crazy to think about it.
That's nuts. And those were Rotar and Twistoid.
Rotar was the one I was thinking of. I couldn't think of the other one. I was like, I know one of them's name, Rotar. That is accurate, sir. And they were part of the Horde, I believe, or at least one of them was, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, one was on one side, one was on the other. Because, like we said before, He-Man always tried to keep it even as far as having a character that can kind of do something. Like Squeeze, I would say, is the anti-Mechanic.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing you will notice if you keep an eye on Snakeface, we're going to see just a little bit of his mold reused in another figure down the line here.
You said, oh, it's Snakeface? Yeah, we will, for sure. That's definitely so. Moving on, we're gonna stay in this wave, but what else do we got? What else did Wave 6 bring us?
The Grayskull line. Now, this was the Heroes of Grayskull line. This was an interesting take of what they wanted to do as far as doing pre-Turnia or what happened before. Like, this was more along the lines of hero. This was, oh crap, we've got stuff. Let's just throw it at the wall and hopefully something sticks at this point. We got a bunch of interesting figures that came out of this. Not only that, but we got the Turbodactyl Binotops, Binotops?
Yeah, Bionatops or something like that.
Something like it was just kind of neat, kind of odd.
This is one of those like. Well, first of all, this is the last wave, and they're grasping on. There's something. We just need something to keep making money. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, kids love dinosaurs, right? Let's throw some dinosaurs in there. And I don't know if at this point or not, Dino Riders had come out.
Oh, by this point, 87, yeah.
Yeah. So they were that was pretty popular. I was into it as a kid, so I'm pretty sure they were trying to just copy what was happening around them. Like, oh, that's cool. Kids really like that. Let's do that. So yeah. And that power of Grayskull or whatever it was, that logo you see here, the green Grayskull series, that was only in America because everywhere else they were still doing the Masters of the Universe logo. So if you have a package that says Masters of the Universe, like the old logo, it's not American. It wasn't made for America. It was made for a foreign market. So that's the two. I was noticing that difference a lot, and I had to look up like what's special about these. Nothing really. This was just the way the American marketing went for some reason, because they were trying to highlight pre-Eternia, I guess. But yeah, I mean, as cool as dinosaurs and He-Man. Yeah, interesting, I guess. I don't know.
Merchandising.
Exactly. There, like I said, let's just throw it at the wall and see what sticks, and hopefully some kids will watch and buy. Well, not watch, but buy. And Giants, like I knew about Titus. I didn't know about the other one here.
That's fugly.
But you have to.
I got no other word, but fugly.
You have to have a villain version, right? Like, oh, we've got Titus, the He-Man giant. Well, we need a bad guy too. Just make him green. But these are two things that not until a couple years ago I didn't even know existed. Like when I was a kid, I didn't know these were. I had no idea.
Nope.
No
idea. I think at this point, like there was just probably so little sales and everything. Like you take a look at these packages on top of it, like it's in other languages too.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this, was released somewhere else first before if it was even released here in America.
If I'm not mistaken, like I was saying earlier, these in America had that Grayskull logo on them, and I just picked these because I don't know, I just wanted something different. But again, you would have saw that green Grayskull coming at you with the red. Well, it's in red, but it's in green coming at you. They were really hoping that the past would save them, right? Let's go into the prehistoric Eternia world, and that'll be new and fresh. But they just, I don't know. I know why, because this is Ninja Turtles are out. Nintendo is in America now.
Yep.
The boys that were playing with these are older now, and it's not cool anymore. She-Ra kind of made them go, well, I won't play with
girls.
If girls have them, I don't want them. But so yeah, there was a lot going on, and they were trying as hard as they could to keep it going, but it just was not working. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of which, by the way, it's only going to get crazier from here. If it'll come up. There we go.
God, this hurts looking at these.
Yeah, so we got some more accessories. We got a little scuba suit, a little claw, and then they had like climbing gear. And then you had that, I don't remember what that was called, with a little blaster, and you had a little sled for the enemy to be on. But
Now, I will say, I think that this was heavily a ripoff of the Centurions.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. When we get to the New Adventures of He-Man, I have some stuff to say about that.
Oh yeah, we're gonna keep going back and forth. It's not that we didn't like the New Adventures,
Right.
it's just we didn't like the New Adventures.
Because there's definitely some things in that wave. I was like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. I'm not dumb.
Mm-hmm. Early, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Spell Bakugan
Meteorbs. Do you remember Meteorbs?
No, I remember Bakugan.
Exactly. When I saw these, it was the first thing that popped in my head was like, oh, Bakugan. Because they fold up into the ball, into the meteor, right? And then, I would assume if you were to throw them, they would pop out.
I'm hurting right now trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Like they're popples. They're
again, they're just trying everything to stay relevant at this point, and it's not working. So I don't even know. I know these didn't have anything to do with the animated series. I don't know if they had anything to do with the comics either. I wasn't about it.
What the?
But as my man here says, all right, time to wrap it up. Like, this is getting out of hand now. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
and there were 10 of them in the line. That's the funny thing.
There was a lot. I'm curious. I'm going to be looking now because I want to know if there's a collector, like a desire for those or whatever, want. There was a way.
Apparently the Meteorbs were just like Transformers. You know how we took the Karatomi and Diaclone and did them and turn them up. These were called Tamagoras in Japan by Bandai.
Mm-hmm.
Comet Cat and Dinosaur can be seen in a single episode of She-Ra from Assault on Hive.
Oh yeah, I remember.
They were also in the comics or portrayed as members of the Rock People.
Now we do know them from last show because we did talk about them briefly.
Yep,
and it makes
laser power.
It makes sense. Again, Transformers are cool. How do we incorporate that? Let's go buy a known thing from Japan and try to squeeze it in, shove it into He-Man because that's our flagship, right? It just didn't work. Didn't work. So there was a Wave 7, right? But it only consisted of 2 figures, and it was only released in Italy. You got, I think, Laser Light He-Man and Laser Light Skeletor. Interesting enough, though, that Skeletor looks very familiar as to like...
And that is a different He-Man head sculpt as
well.
Is.
It is. This is the first time where I think it's different.
Because I will break you.
Yeah. Because this
broke the mold.
This came out the same year as the film, yes. But that Skeletor is looking really close to the New Adventures of He-Man with the whole...
We're getting there.
Circuitry. I have a feeling they saw that. They were like, let's just go with that because that's the last time we saw Skeletor in toy form. But we are getting to the movies, right? Like we're getting pretty darn close if we're not there yet. Oh, wait, sorry. That's not the right
movie.
What if Red Skull came to...
Oh, what if? Oh, you had to go there. Oh, geez. Oops.
And he became the master of the universe. I have a feeling he would take out Skeletor.
Oh, most definitely.
But yeah, here we are. It was the 80s, man. This was a wild time. And what did Mattel think was the next step?
Merchandising, movies, big screen,
man. We need a movie. Gosh. So yeah, Canon films. I love Canon, even though they make terrible movies. I love them. They're awful. They're cheesy. They're bad action movies, and I love them. They were in charge of Masters of the Universe. I think they also did Superman 4.
Yes, they did.
And both of those movies put them in dire straits, and they were done after that. They put a lot of money into these movies because they thought they would be summer blockbusters, and they weren't. But I mean, come on, Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella, right? And he had Courtney Cox, this is the first time I think we've seen.
Very young Courtney Cox.
But there was some pretty decent actors in that movie. I still love it. I know it gets a bad rap. I know a lot of people hate it because it was very different from what you would have thought you would have got from the Masters of the Universe, right? There's a lot of characters you didn't see, a lot of things that were different because if you were a kid growing up watching He-Man, you knew about Prince Adam transforming into He-Man, and this was just He-Man being He-Man all the
He-Man.
time. And the reason for that, they didn't have rights to the characters created by Filmation. If they weren't in those original comics that they produced, they didn't really have any right to them.
Yep.
So that's why we didn't see a lot of the fan favorites, right? There was no Trapjaw, there was no Triclops, there was no Merman, there was no Ram Man.
There's no Orko.
No Orko. That on top of like, probably, budget too. Like we can't afford that many characters, but still. Yeah, the only OG we got was Beastman and Evil Lyn, who's not pictured here. But yeah, those were the only two. And watching this the other day, it was so wild, man. Just seeing when they first showed them, I'm like, what happened, man? But it's the 80s and it's canon.
Well, at least we threw a man-at-arms and a helmet and a Trapjaw jaw on a guy, to go, hey.
So out of that whole movie, I think Man-at-Arms was probably like the best, like the most accurate to.
Oh yeah,
source.
very much so.
And Skeletor too, kind of, but like really Man-at-Arms, I think was perfect. Tila was okay. Skeletor was great, even though he didn't have like the cheesy, high pitched.
Fools! I don't
he
know.
was a lot more of a serious villain, which was cool. I liked it. Langella acted his butt off. You know what I mean? But it was.
And he only took the film because his kids wanted him to do it,
dude. And you're starting to see that these days in like Marvel movies. Like, oh, my grandkid wanted me to be in it, so I did it. That's just the way it is. But yeah, that movie disappointed a lot of people that were hardcore fans, probably older. I think I was too young to really be like hurt by it. So for me, I was like, I got Masters of the Universe movie. I love it. I'm so happy to be here. Oh man, 17 million. And what was the budget? Like 25 or something, like 35?
Yep, 22, right up there at the top. It says 22 million for the budget, and it only grows 17. So that means it is a commercial flop.
Yeah.
Like Dolph says down here, I must break you.
It's crazy to think though, with he was hot at the time.
Yep, he had just come out. This was his first leading role past Rocky IV.
Yeah.
He already broke Apollo Creed. Why not, break into film?
Yeah. But he was still kind of green as an actor too. So I get it. He still kind of had that Swedish. Is it Swedish? Is he from Sweden or Switzerland? He had that accent though. It was still kind of a little bit there. It didn't bother me though, because I'm thinking, well, this guy's from another world. He's not going to talk like a normal American, right?
Fair enough.
Yeah. I dug his armor. I really liked. He's a big guy. You would have had to find somebody like a Mr. Olympia, like Arnold, if you wanted somebody to look like the cartoon.
But when you couldn't get that, you got Dolph Lundgren.
I think
we got discount shelf.
For reality purposes, I'm cool with it. Like, he's a big guy. He's just not like massive. He's still cut though, and tall and wide. But yeah, it's just, I think there's a lot going on in that movie. I can't tell. Still love it though. I had a really good score in my opinion. Like, listen to us, like, man.
The soundtrack was great. Now, out of the figures here, you can see that they all didn't go to the same gym. Blade kind of did.
Yeah.
But we did get a new character introduced as Gwildor. All right. Gwildor was the Orko equivalent, because obviously budgetary restraints and obviously licensing, they couldn't get Orko. Plus, to have to do the CGI of 1987 in live action, could you imagine how terrible that would have been?
Yeah.
So that's where we got Gwildor from. And this was the only time we've ever seen Gwildor up until 2022.
And I was
24.
Very happy.
2024.
Yeah.
So to have him come back, like, he had a long running legacy, and so you got to give him, props. And I love the fact that if you look on these, the stickers are all just a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah. They
Some say the motion picture, some say the He-Man movie,
yeah.
and they tried.
So it was obvious with the movie they were pushing more towards the science fiction, probably because of Star Wars. Trying to everybody wanted to be the next Star Wars. I think they still do sometimes, but especially now, they were like, we need to be the next Star Wars. We need to cash in, have this huge franchise with this huge lore and huge world building, but it didn't come through, and they really focused on the science aspect instead of the magic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you did have Skeletor doing some dark magic here and there, and the sword had like cosmic power, but yeah, they were really focusing hard on technology.
But let's not forget Skeletor's blinged out gold armor at the end.
Dude, sick.
I mean, that was just like, we should have put in a slide just for that.
It'll be up here. Hold on just a second. Not sure where it's at, but because we did get some productions of these figures later. Oh, what's the hell?
Mhm.
Lundgren, yeah.
Well, because the movie didn't do so well, it did make cult-like status.
Exactly.
So, so I had to pull this one out of Revelation and then just swap out Motherboard for the movie poster, because how can't you? Again, it's one of those movies you gotta love to hate, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
It's just, it didn't do well. It didn't age well, but we still appreciate it for what it is.
Heck yeah.
And that's about all we can give it.
Yeah. That's kind of what I appreciate about all of those Canon movies. They were trying to do something. They weren't trying to
Yes,
be
they
bad. They
were.
were trying. It happens, man. It's what it is. It still happens.
These are the figures we should have got. My God.
Yeah. So I think it was 2018, maybe 19, maybe even 20 for some of them. They didn't all come out at the same time. Super 7 doing that Masters of the Universe Classics line, and then they did these movie figures as well. And they're awesome. And I don't know what I was doing at this time because I don't remember seeing them anywhere.
Not spending your money.
Yeah, figures weren't as big of a deal back then, so that's fair. But yeah, these hit, man. They were great. And they had I don't think I put the gold Skeletor up here, but they had him in his gold armor too, which was pretty awesome.
That's nuts. And then we've got the Masterverse line.
Yeah, these so we didn't have Evil Lyn or Beastman in that wave, so I'm glad that those were the ones that they did with the Masterverse wave along with He-Man and Skeletor. Now I have that Skeletor. I think I have He-Man too. I can't remember. The Skeletor was a big deal when I was like, I got to pick that up. But yeah, it's really cool. I wish I could get that Skeletor in the gold armor we're talking about. They haven't released anything like that, but if they do, I'm in line. I'm ready.
Okay.
Masterverse says really good toys. I don't care what everybody says. They're very cool.
But what came next? I mean, we had the Snake Men. We had spinny top guys. We had bottom basement Bakugan. We had, and then we go from that to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something, right? So
It's something.
again, this is they're trying to go in a different direction. Like what we've done so far wasn't working anymore. The movie was a flop. What do we do next? Okay, let's reinvent the wheel here. We're gonna take He-Man. We already took him to the past with pre-Eternia. Now
we attempted to.
Now we take him to the future. Back to the Future. That's a good movie, right? Let's take him to the future.
Yeah, right. Well, that'll work. So in 1990, after the show went off, ooh, Daniel's throwing shade.
I don't hate it. I got to say, actually, today, in the last couple of days, actually, kind of doing a little more research, I kind of dug it. I was like, now I haven't watched a lot of episodes, and I know they can be a little hard to get through, but
I couldn't make it through the first 3, and like I have really fond memories of the show somewhere in the back of my head, but the first 2 or 3 just hurt because we had to find the magic and the power. because we don't know how to talk.
I was digging. So, man, I wish I could remember that YouTube creator who had a great video just deep diving on this show, the world building, the lore, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good. And I was like, man, that's great. I wonder if they were able to translate that to screen, because I don't think they were. And not to mention, I mean, you saw that picture of Skeletor in the previous slide. Like, what were they I don't know what they were thinking with that. Like
But that was only for a few episodes till he got his upgrade to what we have on screen now.
Now, did his voice change, or did he still sound like a bargain William Shatner? Like, I don't know what that was. Like,
I don't know either.
Listening to him talk, I was just like, this is off-putting. And I know it's different, and it's supposed to be different, but man, and this was supposed to be a continuation from the original series.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow Skeletor and He-Man, well, Sorceress tells He-Man, you got to go to the future. You're destined to save Eternia. And then there's some guys come back from the future and are looking for a hero. Go ahead.
This is my forte. So there is a planet in the future somewhere out in the galaxy called Primus. The Primus is being attacked by the mutants, by the evil mutants. There has been a shield on Primus for decades to save them. Unfortunately, now, because they are so technologically advanced, they don't have the magic to save themselves because the mutants keep coming and coming and coming. So then they had to find the magic and the power to save the universe. I was teased. Excuse me. I had too much magic and power in my nose. That's not what I meant, kids.
Yeah.
But so what they did is they invented a time machine, went back to Eternia. Yes, and you are right. Optimus Primal did play He-Man. He was the voice of He-Man in this.
Mm-hmm.
So they went back to Eternia way back when, and they originally the two guys, Flipshot and Captain Hydron, thought that Skeletor was the right person, so they brought both characters back, and obviously they realized that, okay, wait, something's all wrong here, and they realize He-Man is the savior, and Skeletor lines up with these guys, the mutants, ran by Flog. And what's kind of fun is that they had a very much Megatron Starscream dynamic. Sometimes people will be following one and not the other, and so on and so forth. And then Skeletor did get this upgrade because, like I said in the last slide here, this is what Skeletor looked like to begin with. When we go to look at the toys, you'll definitely see that it was kind of mix and match. There was a part from this character, a part from that character. We're going to throw a skull on it. And then that's how we got that first one. It also very much runs in line with the design that they were trying to get out of the comic books, the mini comics.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we never got one that is like this particular Skeletor down here.
Yeah.
Up until wave 2, and it looks like garbage.
Yeah. The toys.
The toys are better was also the show was also developed and drawn from a different company. That's why it has a completely different look, different style. It's very anime-esque because that was still all popular at that time. They really wanted to be a cut above, because you look at the old animation style and it just in the matter of a decade has improved so much. So to get this was great.
I think that, obviously that was the ultimate problem, is it just didn't look and feel like He-Man. But this may have succeeded if it was something else. You know what I mean? Like, because this felt like a totally different cartoon, and you could have called it something else. I don't know what, but it just taken out, like, this is not Skeletor. This is somebody. But
yeah, this would have been one of those early morning UHF cartoons like I was talking about. And that's why I remember it so well.
Yeah. It had a feel of something completely different. And that's okay. You got to risk it for the biscuit, right?
Yeah, that was one hell of a biscuit, I can tell you that.
Oh, right. But I think personally the toys were pretty good. I know they didn't have something good to go off of, but the toys were really, really pretty cool.
Well, first one you got to notice is the body sculpts had changed. They weren't these big, huge barrel-chested figures that all went to the same gym.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I did like. Again, I know I mentioned this to Mickey. I don't know if I said this on or off air, but you notice that all of the masters. I know what were they called? The Galactic Guardians.
Yeah.
We're all human now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that helped on making toy designs. And I also think that there was a lot of inspiration, still, I'll say it again, from Centurions.
Yes, because each of them had like a specialty air,
gimmick.
water, I don't know. Each of them had something. Yeah, we'll call it a gimmick, where kind of Centurions would have been like, I'm put on my water armor and now I'm in the water. I'm going to put on my flying armor. Like it had that vibe for sure.
Man, if you're gonna say it right. You know, he had Skyvolt, he had Skybolt.
I can remember their names.
I know my Centurions, damn it. That's for another episode, folks.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I actually know a guy who's got. Yeah, I can get in touch with a guy for that.
That's good, because they were really cool. I had those. I wish I still had them. I don't know where they are.
I didn't. Anyway, but we're talking He-Man.
Yeah. So here's some packaging. An example. We'll use He-Man here. In the back of the card is Flog, I think his name is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you had 6 characters in this first wave, and you had more than those 2 vehicles. I don't know why they only have 2 up there, but yeah, and they all also, just like the original one, they had some kind of spring-loaded action. Like He-Man the sword would come down. A lot of them were pull the arm up, it'll come back down, from what I could tell. But they went all in, and I do like the card art. I think it pops really well. Like if I was walking down the aisle, I'd be like, "What is that?" But then when I read He-Man, I'd be like, "That's not He-Man." But they did have these other vehicles too. Again, I feel like He-Man, bread and butter were their vehicles, and I could kind of see it here too, because these are actually pretty cool. Obviously more space oriented, technical oriented, instead of like those really like goofy merging of like animal and technology or something like that. But yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a line here, but if we go back one.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, that Astro sub, I got really, and I know it's a different company, but I got really heavy Starcom vibes out of it.
Yeah. Also,
now,
like
Starcom was from Coleco, so I know that these aren't, you know. Like, holy crap!
I don't know why, but this stuff kind of reminds me of like Captain Power too, like in a way. Yeah.
That was Captain Power, I believe, was another Mattel brand.
Yeah, they kind of give that vibe too. This though, like Spaceship Eternia, this was a cool playset, because you could configure it in all of these different ways you see here to make like different types of space stations or vehicles or whatever. It really, I think this is the crown jewel of He-Man New Adventures toys. Just because there was almost like an unlimited play value where you could change it up and you're going somewhere else and then put it back together and fly with it. I was out of He-Man by this time, but man, that would have been really cool. If I was younger, I would have really wanted this, because that was a great toy. I think that's a great toy.
It has the best toyetic thing we've seen in He-Man yet.
Yeah.
I think it was a stretch to make it 15 different ways. I'm just saying, oh, look, here's a stick with a base and a top. Here's a stick with a base and a top and a really weird arm thingy. Here's a stick with a top and a base that's on the top and no. Like, give me 7 and shut up.
Oh, you gotta let your imagination ride, man.
Yeah, but you could also save printing space by not putting 15 different forms on there.
Yeah. Hey, everybody's looking for a bang for the buck, right?
Now, I got to tell you something. This Power Sword.
Yes, go ahead.
I cannot remember if I had it.
I did.
I swear I did. But at the same time, that commercial,
yeah,
it is stuck on my brainstem.
Yes. I wish I had uploaded it just to watch the commercial, because it's a really good commercial.
It is. It's a great commercial.
The kids like role-playing Skeletor like it was a really good costume too from the show, with like glowing red eyes and the kids, fighting them or whatever. And it's actually a pretty cool fight. It's a little like 8-year-old taking on a grown man Skeletor, but it looked pretty cool in his bedroom. But yeah, I did have this sword, and this is the only thing I remember from the New Adventures of He-Man, having. Yeah, I remember playing with this thing. I could probably tell you like later on. I didn't even know what it was anymore, but I wish I still had that. That'd be really cool. It had that it's got like little lightsaber vibes to it, but like something else too. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah, and it didn't even look like the power sword from the show because of the integrated electronics and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
But it was a great commercial.
It was role play toys were cool back then. Well, I thought they were. I think I had every sword I could get my hands on from the
Yeah.
cartoons I watched.
I don't know, Ken. All right, we're gonna try something on the fly.
Okay, do it. This is gonna be awesome. I can feel it.
I don't know if it's gonna work.
It's gonna work.
I don't know.
Hang with us here, folks.
It's not working.
Okay.
I have it on I have the commercial on my other screen. I was going to try and pull it over.
You say we found out last show that we could just drag and drop images, or at least Tom could. I can't for some. I think I got an older version of the browser, but yeah, I was like, dude, that's pretty cool. You just drag and drop. So
yep. So it comes in handy, like if we're trying to talk about a figure, and I can go, "Oh, you mean this one?"
Yeah. So wave 2 drops. Right, we get a few more characters, and He-Man has been working out because he's a little bit bigger now. And not only that, he has like
your Skeletor from the cartoon or from the commercial.
Yes, look how cool that is.
Anyway, let's get to that. That's scary.
If you didn't know what you were walking into, that would be terrifying.
Yep, I got it.
Okay, go ahead. But yeah, so like in this Wave 2 series, this new He-Man, it was kind of weird because he has that bandolier or whatever across his chest, and that is where you would turn him like at that angle, and his arm with the sword, and he would like come up like an upper punch. So it was really cool, but also looked kind of weird because like he's like cut right there basically.
But as far as toy technology is concerned, that's some credit where credit's due.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is where I was talking about. This is the Wave 2 figure that we got the more cartoon accurate Skeletor. But you could definitely start seeing like, oh, hey, let's take some ideas or coloring or play mechanics from other figures. Like, oh, hey, look at this guy right here who's a Triclops ripoff. Or let's look at this guy, or over on the other side, that guy is mildly painted like Trapjaw. What's the deal?
Thank you. There's a guy that like lizard guy looks just like one of the Snake Men from previous waves. These are mutants, but I think his name is like Reptile or something like that too. So it's definitely part of the same vibe. That character with the eyeball. Let me see if I can, because I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Oh, it's so simple too. It's like Igor or
Optic.
Yeah.
That is a really cool toy as well.
Yeah, man.
I watched a guy on YouTube kind of go through, like, I guess he found like a huge lot of these figures. And he had like almost all of them with the exception of a couple. But that Optic toy was one of the ones I was like, I want that. Like now, like I don't even care what it's from. Just that it looks cool and that I can move around. I was like, dude, that was sick. That's a great thing to do with a toy. And then there's one guy in the bottom right corner. I think his name is Karate. He does like a high kick. I was like, come on, man.
They're trying.
I loved it, though. It was hilarious.
But what's nice is that Wave 2 we also did get in the original first year of the show during the 65 episodes.
Yeah.
A lot of the other shows, we would always get the Wave close to the cartoon or just slightly after.
Right. And also that Skeletor like had a feature where you could like put his head up against a light source and his eyes would shine red, which was cool. But here we have another play set. The bad guys.
Yep.
Nordor, which is like a little moon base. I don't know what.
Yep, it was their moon.
Like
moon base. This is also where Skeletor found the crystal that gave him his upgrade as well. So this was their home base. This is where the mutants lived. And if you look in that one picture, it was pretty darn big. I mean, yeah, that's probably a 4-year-old in that picture, but
Yeah, I should have uploaded a picture of a kid holding it, man. It's big. It's pretty massive. Like, it was that kid's like whole upper body almost. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, folds out, transforms into like a base, which so New Adventures of He-Man, I feel like the toy side was doing a pretty good job. They were killing it with play features and new molds and new characters, even though they were kind of just taking things and kind of like redoing it and stealing things from here and there. I think they were changing it enough to make it their own and kind of give us something new and interesting. It was tough to shoehorn it into a He-Man universe for me. So
yeah, no Star Wars.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, but time ticks on.
Okay. So this is where I get pissed at this line.
Okay. Sure.
Because now we're at the point of, man, we've made so many figures. We really need to like acknowledge the stuff before. So, hey, let's make Strider Man, or let's make Tuskor with the Ram Man head on a human body. And hey, we need a Mecha-Neck, Manny-Faced, Man-at-Arms combined robot dude.
Yeah.
And it's just, this was just throw everything, just F it all. We're going out. That's it.
The fellow is like a robot, the blue one. Is that Artilla?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Let me look it up real quick. Yes, Artilla. Reminds me, super reminiscent of the tank head figure that they built when they were doing the first promotional He-Man, like not promotional, but concept He-Man toys, where you had the barbarian He-Man, you had a guy with a head looks just like that and like guns, and then they had like a Boba Fett looking guy in like white and red armor. And I'm like, as soon as I saw that Artilla, I was like, that looks just like the tank head from the original prototypes that they were trying to sell to their boss. So I was like, I wonder if I didn't look it up, should have, but I wonder if they took inspiration from that. They were like, let's make that real, you know? I thought that would be a cool thing if they did that. But yeah, you're right on the other stuff. This is all Mecha-Neck, snout spout. The horse centaur kind of looking guy, I believe he stands up like you can stand him up, and like he has like Goro, like 4 arms. Like that's something they could do in the show, I believe, that race.
I think my cousin had that one. This was really at the point, so like he was introduced in episode 34, like mid show, when they tried to go a little bit more fantastical with some of the characters, and really break the mold of, oh well, it's humans versus mutants, when they realized, oh crap, He-Man has a lot of, people that aren't human. Like you had Buzz-Off, you had Tuskor, you had the whole Masters. The Masters were inclusive before inclusive was cool.
That's right. That's right.
Except they finally made the black man in the last wave.
Yeah. And they made all the Asian guys bad guys. That was kind of weird, but whatever.
Yeah, anyway.
I think it's funny that the Mecha-Neck guy, his name is Butthead. What a great name. Butthead.
Yeah, as it should be.
But yeah, so time moves on. What do we got here?
Again, the vehicles. You love the accessories in the vehicles, and I'm like, this is awesome. So we've got a copter. We've got a knockoff of Spydor, in my opinion.
Basically. And you've got like a droid tank. I don't know what you call it. But we finally got Skeletor staff. I don't think we ever got a Skeletor staff until this point. In any kind.
No, I don't think we did ever get the Chaos staff in the original. And then this is called the Skull staff with the new series.
Yeah. So it's a little more with the upgrade. But yeah, this is standard stuff right before we head into the last wave. Old Wave 4 1992 Ninja
Oh,
Turtle.
look, it's Flog as Man at Arms.
Yeah, we get some variants. And also, again, He-Man has gotten bigger. Each iteration, he just keeps getting more and more swole until we're almost back to the OG, baby.
Yep.
Which I assume was on purpose because they were like, who's this scrawny punk? They're like, all right, we'll give you the old He-Man. A lot of these characters kind of look like, the original molds with the big legs and arms and chests. So we're getting there.
They went back to the old gym.
Yeah. I kind of dig that Skeletor a little bit, even though his head's kind of wonky, but the rest of it's kind of cool.
Yeah. I gotta say, I don't recognize any of the other characters. Like, is that supposed to be Flipshot?
No. Yes, it is Flipshot. And Hydron and He-Man. And then we have Battle Blade Skeletor, Hook'em Flog, and Too Tall Hoof. I don't know why it's Too Tall Hoof, but
I like these gauntlet figures. Like,
yeah, those
cool.
I guess they were like role-playing things as well. There wasn't a lot of information on them. Like, I guess you would wear them, and they'd probably make noises if I had to assume. But
yeah, but these upgraded Flipshot and Hydron, no. Just no.
Come on, man. It's not that bad.
Oh, really? I don't know, because it looks like they're blasting through with Demolition Man now.
So
the best rat burger I've ever had.
That's right. Nothing goes to waste, baby, in Toyland. So they reused the molds from that first wave of He-Man, or the New Adventures of He-Man, for the Demolition Man toys. And you can see that John Spartan and He-Man look identical. They had the same armor. They just have different weapons. Instead of a sword, John's got like a baton or something like that, or a missile launcher. I can't remember. But it's funny, even on the back of the armor, John Spartan armor, you turn it around, there's a place for the power sword. You can just slide around in there if you got it.
No way.
Yeah. And then the Bola Jet, they didn't even change the name. It's the same jet, repainted, and call it the Bola Jet, baby. So
well, and they could get away with that because it was still under the trademark was under Mattel, so they could just go for it regardless of what IP was in. Mattel owned the Bola Jet.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's fun to know.
Now I wonder, does He-Man know how to use the 3 seashells?
He might. He's from the future. Well, this one is.
Well, Mickey, you've been doing such a wonderful job at this. Next time we catch up together in real life, I will take you to Taco Bell.
Oh, dude. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh God.
I'm getting double my meat and sour cream, buddy.
That's all right. I'll even add a side of guac.
Hilarious. But yeah,
you're absolutely right.
I mean, here's the physical proof here. He just gets bigger and bigger and bulkier until we've got like OG He-Man back by 1992 with pants.
Yeah. And look at his neck.
Dude. That's pretty much an Incredible Hulk toy there on the right. And the one in the middle is actually He-Man, and the one on the left is Flash Gordon. Well, my left. I don't
know. I just don't get it, man.
It's it was a weird time. It was a transition period. They didn't know what to do. Things weren't going well, and they just said, "Hey, man, this will work." They didn't. People were trying hard to keep their jobs. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, we hope that they still had a long and illustrious career.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Just not with He-Man.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of which, we are going to follow up next week with the 2002 He-Man and the Masters Universe series reboot. One of my personal favorites. I still say that Revelation is number one on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but that comes down more to the fact that I'm an adult and I can understand the nuance better now. I'm currently doing a rewatch of this to try and pick something out. So trust me, we're going to have a lot to talk about next week. Mickey, of course, following the toys. I will follow the story. And I think that this was really the time where one, was scratching the other's back.
Yeah. Yeah. I love.
Because it had
synergy. This was 2002, right? And we'll talk about more
Yep.
next time. But I mean, it's got 2000s all over it. It's just like badass, man.
And not only that, it had time to finally cool down and get out of the limelight. So when it came
That's
back, it had something to go, oh, hey, He-Man's back.
Yeah, and they could go a little. I don't want to talk too much, but they could go a little deeper into stories as opposed to what they were doing in the 80s, where it was just, we're trying to sell you a toy. I mean, of course, they're trying to sell toys with this too, but I think story was kind of important to what they were doing. So that's always good, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, there's our show tonight. That's Snake Man, the end of the OG toy line, the Masters of the
The
Universe
movie.
and the New Adventures of He-Man, aka.
Have you found the magic and the power yet, Mickey?
It's somewhere. It's still deep inside. I can't get it to come out.
I don't know. I just don't know. But yeah, folks, thank you so very much for following along everything we got going on this week. Tomorrow night we've got Turnip Page. Wednesday we've got so many reviews coming out on nerd.initiative.com right there because we love our QR codes. Thursday, Wrestling Night Live, they're going to be jumping in from the top rope, dropping those elbows, talking about AEW, WWE, and all the other acronyms and letters that I just can't remember right now because I am still stuck on that derpy-looking Skeletor from earlier. Speaking of which, we do have, and you know what? You said it on Friday, and we didn't do it, Ken, so I apologize, but I will still acknowledge you. Please make sure to go to our social medias. If you want to join the home of pop culture positivity, make sure fill out our form and join us. Maybe we'd love to have you in our wheelhouse of amazing content creators. In the meantime, don't forget we've got MotU March Madness going on all the social medias. Get on your brackets. We want to know who's going to win. When are we summing up Skeletor versus He-Man? Is there what are we finalizing? Yeah, because
so here's what we're doing, right? And I'll bring up the current bracket just to look at it for everyone that's watching. I'm gonna have all the good guys on one side and all the villains on the other. So what's in the end, we will have one hero versus one villain, right? I don't know what iteration or what character. We already did He-Man and Skeletor, so think of it, if you're looking at a bracket across from each other, they won't come together until the end if they make it that far. So He-Man, Man-at-Arms right now for the good guys, we will have Tila and we will have Orko. And then on the villains, we will have Skeletor, who we've already announced, Evil Lyn, Beastman, and Hordak. So at some point, one from each side will meet on the battlefield to determine who is Master of the Universe.
Ooh, that's a big one.
So yeah, there's that. Oh wait, let me get that to go away. And one more thing, we didn't mention it last time, and I felt real bad. We are having a giveaway, okay? And if you're paying attention to the show, you got good odds of winning. All right, we're calling it the March Madness Oops giveaway. If you notice, we've been having Oops slides in the previous two presentations we've done. So just watch Play for Keeps. Be on the lookout for that Orko Oops. And then at the end, we'll submit list, not least. So sorry, my spell check is bad. I will ask you for the list of all the Oops panels, what they were, and then you'll be entered for a chance to win that 40th anniversary He-Man, which I have right here. He's very pretty. He's awesome. Big, chunky boy. So yeah, that's that. And then be sure to follow us, subscribe to us, click the bell for the notifications, and give us a thumbs up, letting us know we're doing a good job. If you like what we're doing, and tell us in the comments, if you like it, or if you don't, tell us what we're doing wrong. We like constructive criticism, right? So yeah,
got my thumbs up.
That's about it, man. That's about all I got. You got anything else?
I don't know. By the power of Eternia, not the power of Grayskull, I can tell you that.
Yeah. So we just want to remind you, Don't just play for fun.